Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by BetUS. Well, that was fun. That was quite a game there by our boys. One of the more interesting games of the season, obviously turned into a laugher, although I guess Tom Thibodeau did not get the memo when the Knicks kind of put their foot down and ended this game at some point towards the end of the third quarter. I'm sure that will come up once or twice on this post-game show, so I'm just going to leave that be for the moment. Look, it's a 24-point win, home win, and the Knicks just kind of continue to right the ship. Was it perfect? No. Was there defensive effort, defensive performance in the first half? The sort that you would hope to see out of the gate, coming off of a big win against Orlando to get them into the NBA Cup and the whole thing. Not really. Are they damn lucky they have Jalen Brunson? And I should say at the top, probably the biggest story to come out of this game. Actually, it's a few big stories come out of this game. We're going to go through them right now. But we hope Jalen Brunson is okay. Did not re-enter the game after he checked out late in the third quarter. Of course, he ended up on the floor and I don't even think it was a foul, but appeared to get hit in the head, and then Nick Richards kind of landed on him. He was holding his ribs. He was back on the bench by the end of the game, so that's a good sign. You hope it's nothing serious. We'll keep our fingers crossed for Jalen, obviously, because as Jalen goes, so goes this team. And I kind of want to start there. Yeah, this game turned into a laugher, but when the Knicks were down by, I think it was 13 points in the first quarter, nobody was laughing. I certainly wasn't laughing. And it took a very, very special Jalen Brunson performance. And it's a misnomer to look at his stat line and see that he only ended up with 24 points because it doesn't describe his importance to this game. Without Jalen Brunson basically taking control of the offense and saying, yeah, not tonight, not on my watch, and getting the thing. They were down by 2 after 1, and then they tied it quickly early in the second, although there was still some bumpiness after that just because of their defense in the first half of this game. But yeah, kudos to Jalen Brunson. And like just kudos to this starting five. There will be, as we enter into trade season, we're 10 days away from the unofficial start of trade season, December 15th. A lot of the league can be traded, although we don't really see a whole lot of trades early on. Usually wait till January and realistically February. But, there's going to be a lot of talk about trade targets. There's going to be talk about, Mitchell Robinson coming back. What's he going to look like? Is he going to play significant minutes with Karl-Anthony Towns for the first time all season? You saw it tonight. Obviously, Precious Achiuwa was back. That's a big storyline. Tibbs played him and Towns together. I don't know that I would necessarily use that as a definitive indication that he is going to play Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns significant minutes together. Precious, and you saw it in his first game back tonight, can do some. Like he has some skills on the offensive end. And I think you saw those a couple times. I thought it was poetic that Karl-Anthony Towns hit Precious Achiuwa for an assist, and Precious Achiuwa had a really nice finish at the rim. Like, there's a reason that a lot of people have been waiting for Achiuwa's return to see what it looks like with Towns, and you got a glimpse of it tonight, and I thought it looked pretty good. But I digress. So, but there's still going to be talking about Mitch and whether he's most valuable as a player on this team, as a salary in an outgoing trade, all of that stuff. At the end of the day, this team is going to go as far as this starting five takes them. And we've been saying that. I've been saying that at least since the beginning of the season. I never thought for a second that they would seriously consider changing the starting five. Never thought they should consider changing the starting five. And that's because the vision of this, when it's working, like you know it's going to work pretty great. And that isn't to say that they're always going to be perfect. They certainly weren't perfect in the first half tonight. Offensively, they were like flat out, like kind of bad in the first few minutes of this game. But then you look at the final totals, and I'm just going down the list. Mikal Bridges plus 26, OG Anunoby plus 18, Karl-Anthony Towns plus 25, Jalen Brunson plus 22, Josh Hart plus 17. Every one of those guys scored at least 18 points. You got Josh Hart with 18, 10, and 6. You got Jalen Brunson with 24 points on eight shots. That's going to make your efficiency go up a little bit. You have Towns pulling down 16 rebounds and finally kind of getting into it. I thought it was a notable moment in the first half. I wrote it down. Actually, it might have been the second half. Hold on. Yeah, early in the second half. For the first time all game, after the Charlotte Hornets were showing absolutely no hesitation switching smalls or wings onto Karl-Anthony Towns, it took until the beginning of the third quarter for him to finally be like, all right, I'm going to exploit this now, and I'm going to make these guys pay. The first time he tried it resulted in an offensive foul, but the next time after that, it was a bucket. It sent them up 67 to 64. So you had Towns in his bag, although it took a little while to go to get there. Mikal Bridges finishes 2 assists shy of his career high in assists, ends up with 7 total. And in what has to be the funniest single statistic of the NBA, of the Knicks season, if not the NBA season, plays 47 minutes. It will go down as 47, not 46. It will go down as 47 minutes because he played most of the 47th minute. So the NBA stats, they round up. 47 minutes in a game that the Knicks won by 24 points. If ever you want to explain Tom Thibodeau in one sentence or in one stat to someone who has no idea who the man is or what he stands for or what drives him or his demons, you want to tell me that man doesn't have demons? 47 minutes for Mikal Bridges? It's December. It's the Hornets. You're up by almost 30. I'm laughing because I said to somebody on a recent postgame show, what do you want me to do? You want me to like get fake mad at this stuff? I love this shit, but it drives people crazy. It drives people absolutely insane, and it should. I don't pretend that I'm rational for my response to this. I find it absolutely delightful, but anyway, so that's Mikal Bridges. And then, as he has been so often for this team, the glue that holds it all together. Like, yeah, Jalen Brunson is one of the, 5 most valuable players in the league. Karl-Anthony Towns may be one of the 5 most impactful offensive players in the league. Josh Hart, I don't need to sing his praises. Bridges is coming around. For all that being said, Brunson's an MVP candidate, so I don't know if you could say somebody else is the most important player on the Knicks, but man, OG Anunoby, what he brings to the table, especially when you have a guy on the other team who, like, I know Brandon Miller had a great first quarter. If it wasn't for OG Anunoby, I'm not convinced that Brandon Miller doesn't go off for 50 tonight and maybe keep the Hornets in that game for even longer than they were. And just OG, he's Deion Sanders. He just shuts down an entire side of the field. The possession that they had where he had 2 blocked 3-pointers in the same 30-second sequence, and one 30-second sequence was, one of the most insane things you'll ever see in a basketball game. Incredible. And as a starting unit, those 5 are obviously starting to come together. And that is what is really important for this team because, again, I'm not saying that they should play all 48 minutes of every game together. Although if Thibodeau had his ways, no, that's not true. He would play Deuce, and we should say that Deuce was he was a plus 13 in his own right. Played 28 minutes, like he's a true 6-man. But yeah, it comes down to those 5. It comes down to those 5, and I thought they were very good tonight. I'm just actually pulling up the the data for tonight. So the starting five, because Brunson had to leave early, only actually played 18 minutes and 51 seconds together. In that time, they had a 131.6 offensive rating. Shout out to Pivot Fade for these stats. And a 100 defensive rating. So after that choppy start in the first half, give credit where credit is due. The starting five put it together defensively as well. And they did what they had to do. So really good performance eventually by them. Certainly a good offensive performance for really the entire game. And it's just another game where they did what they had to do. And the Knicks don't look now, but they are starting to, and I know the opposition has not been great, but they are starting to string together some pretty impressive performances. That's the fourth win in a row for them. It's their second 4-game win streak in the last 11 games. They have now won 9 of their last 11, or excuse me, 9 of their last 12. And the last 4 wins, I mean, the first Charlotte win in Charlotte, which is again the 5th game of a 5-game road trip, so take it with a grain of salt. 1-point win, followed by a 23-point win that could have been a lot bigger, a 15-point win that could have been a lot bigger, and tonight was a 24-point win that I would argue also could have been a bit bigger. So, it's good stuff. I don't want to go on too much longer in the monologue because I know people are going to hit on a lot of the specific issues or the specific things that came up in this game in the super chats. I probably haven't praised Josh Hart enough. That for as important as Jalen Brunson was in the first quarter, Josh Hart was just as important in the second quarter. So shout out to Josh Hart. Those two guys are going to be competing for my 3-star player of the game, along with Anunoby. Actually, it's those three. I don't know which one I'm going to give it to. But let me go back to Precious for a second and Jericho Sims, because one thing that was discussed a lot coming into tonight, certainly with Precious back, was how is it going to look? Is he going to extend the rotation? And sure enough, we just got an update, by the way, this courtesy of James Edwards III. Shout out to James, just came on the pod. He says Brunson could have gone back in the game, so you'd think that it's nothing serious for JB, which is great news. Anyway, so interesting situation to talk about with Precious and Sims because Campaign was out tonight. So did that have an effect on the rotation? Did it not have an effect on the rotation? I think it had an effect on the rotation in that he just wasn't going to extend it to somebody that he didn't feel comfortable playing. And like clearly Tyler Kolek has not entered the circle of trust yet because Campaign was out tonight. We didn't see Kolek until the last minute of the game. And Sims was the first big off the bench, played 3 minutes. It was his worst 3 minutes of the season. And then Precious Achiuwa came in as the next. So Towns replaced Sims. Precious then replaced Towns, played a little bit in the first half, went back out. Towns came back in. And then the second half, we didn't see Sims at all. And Precious came in to replace Towns. And then I believe he stayed in when Towns came back in. So the two of them played together for a little bit. I don't know that I would read that as Sims is now out of the rotation. I think Sims had a really bad half. We've seen this before. It happened in, I forget what game it happened in. It was a game earlier in the season when Ariel Hukporti, or was that, it may have actually been the preseason. I don't know. It all runs together in my head. So Kev, Andrew, if one of you guys want to remind me. But the game when Sims was the first big, and then Ariel Hukporti came in and ended up playing 30 minutes. It wasn't, and I think that maybe it was versus Brooklyn. Thank you, Andrew. It was in season. It was versus Brooklyn. Again, my brain doesn't work anymore. But Hukporti came in and played a ton of minutes. Oh, that was the game Towns missed. That's right. That's what it was. Hukporti came in, played a ton of minutes, and we thought, oh, did Hukporti pass Sims in the rotation? No. Sims next game, much to the chagrin of some. And then, ironically, that's when Sims turned his season around, right around that point. So I wouldn't say that Sims is going to be mothballed based on what we saw tonight, but now he's got another option, and an option that he trusts. And it's different than Ariel Hukporti. Ariel Hukporti, he said after those games, like, yeah, we were just looking for energy. This is different. Precious could play. And you were reminded of that tonight. I don't think anybody needed to be reminded, but if you needed to be reminded, you were reminded of it tonight. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. As of right now, if campaign is healthy, I'd still probably bet on a 9-man rotation. I wouldn't place a lot of money on it, though. I would have placed more money on it before this game. I wouldn't place a lot of money on it now. So, we'll see. But that's certainly a topic of discussion. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really it. Like, it was a don't play with your food kind of win. They played with their food for a half, and then after halftime, they stopped playing with their food. And they put forth one of the most dominant quarters that they have all season. That it would have been, I think they ended up outscoring the Hornets by 22 points in the quarter, and it would have been 25 points in the quarter if Brandon Miller didn't hit that miracle shot at the end. So 2 more 35-point quarters for the Knicks in this game. I wrote about that a little bit in the newsletter today, how many 35-point quarters they have. Second coming into tonight only to the Cavs, so you could add 2 more to that total. They're dominant sometimes. They're just dominant. Okay. Let me do my autograph signature moment of the game. I'm going to go with the Karl-Anthony Towns rim attack. I already shouted out the 2 OG blocks, but that wasn't one moment. It was 2 moments. If it was autograph signature moments of the game, I would have the 2 OG blocks. It's moment of the game. So I'm going to do the cat rim attack. Got the and one. It made it 87-68. It was their biggest lead of the game to that point. And emotion really high from Cat because you could tell he had been frustrated all night long, and he let out like I don't know if it was a scream or a yell or something, but he let out a lot of that emotion after he got that dunk down, and he's like, thank God. So shout out to Karl-Anthony Towns for that very fun moment. Shout out to Autograph. Go download the Autograph app anywhere you get your apps. Use code KFS and start getting rewarded for your fandom and all the stuff that you do anyway. Yeah. Okay. We also have Andrew Claudio has given me the official update, the only update that matters, the only update that should matter to anybody here, which is that after this win, after this dominant performance, the New York Knicks are up to 4th in the NBA in net rating. They have passed the Houston Rockets and the Memphis Grizzlies, although I think actually they probably were ahead of the Rockets coming into this game. Well, they passed the Grizzlies. They are plus 7.7 points per 100 possessions, better than their opponents. Now, they got a ways to go before third, second, and first. OKC's plus 12. They're awesome. Boston and Cleveland are both a little bit above plus 10. And if you care about things like defense, Knicks now 19th at 113.9, 0.1 points per 100 possessions behind the 18th place Kings, who are playing, I believe, right now. And they are within shouting distance of the 14th place Philadelphia 76ers, who are at 113.2. So the Knicks, 0.7 points per 0.7 points per 100 possessions away from having a top half of the league defense. That's the goal, right? That's not saying that's the ultimate goal. That's the goal right now.